There's a big difference in how the audience appreciates stories like Classroom of the Elite. While the anime only crowd gets hyped whenever something new reveals or some events conclude, light novel readers criticize the animated version of their books quite harshly. That is because there is a gap between what was demonstrated in those books that created a strong group of followers and an anime series which is currently placed in the good but not on par with the light novel's level. You could say that, obviously, a book will be viewed and felt differently from an anime. However, a lot of anime pulled off the work fantastically in translating the book's wonder into frames. I am no expert in both areas, but I spent enough time researching the series to point out a simple fact. It is impossible for Classroom of the Elite anime to fully demonstrate the content and intention of the light novels. Here are the reasons. First, let's break down the structures of the narrative where Classroom of the Elite's story has been told by two different ways. In the anime, we have a traditional storytelling with one main character, a string of events, conflicts, showdowns or exams, consequences and logical connection between everything. In the light novels, we have one main character plus multiple side point of views, contains all the elements of the anime plus extra discussion, conversation, internal expression plus analyzation lead to logical or emotional choices and consequences of given situation. Based on the initial structures, the anime is a little more fast-paced compared to the light novels. While the light novels takes a lot of time to develop characters, plots, and other aspects, the anime has to make the story fit inside a specific amount of time. So, the anime has to cut some details from the original shots to meet the required length of each episode. That is one of the reasons why the anime can be much simpler and easier to understand compared to the light novels. One could argue that arguments and actual events playing out in the anime will portray those missing things within characters. However, the complication and deception in one's thought process could lead unelaborated actions to a different direction of intention, and that is without any cut contents and characters which could be vital in some situation. Those things lead to the next thing the anime falls off compared to the light novels. In the light novels, every exam was prepared carefully by the school's director board, delivered with tight rules, discussed thoroughly by the best students in classes or groups, and played out with the best struggle coming from every side, with surprising or predictable outcomes depending on how involved Ayanokoji was in it. In the anime, however, everything is cut short, or should I say, dumbed down to a singular timeline where things got planned, schemes got established, traps were planted, and results were revealed. It's not necessarily a bad thing that how the story plays out can be edited, shortened, or even changed in some ways. In the case of Classroom of the Elite, however, you can see the gap between a fully conveyed story with attached elements like the side characters' involvement and the characters' internal thinking could affect the outcome of the situation, even when the result was already set, because the outcome of conflicts in this series doesn't necessarily mean just some numbers, ranking, and a temporarily declared victor. Characters' progression, level of interaction, subtleties of dialogues, small details, etc. All of them combined would create the epicness that light novel readers could actually feel. The anime solely lacks that kind of feelings. If you enjoy the music, however, maybe something can be recovered a little bit. Furthermore, the light novels has so many details that the anime lacks. That's why, even though the anime still tells the story, it's still not able to represent the depth and complexity of the characters and the plot. That allows one to argue that the anime didn't portray the light novels in its full potential. But still, the anime has certain advantages of its own. Like I mentioned before, the anime does have a more convenient medium to fit within its length and provide more entertainment. One redeeming quality of this cut short version is that the impression about some aspects of the story would be stronger. For example, the characters who got their plans better to outsmart the others looks cooler, because they have more to keep to themselves instead of just showing everything to the audience. Generally speaking, the storytelling in Classroom of the Elite anime is good, not bad, but not excellent either. The overall idea of most anime could be a main character interacts with everyone else, sometimes going the route of side characters or heroines to explore more sides of the narrative. We see exactly that general trope in Classroom of the Elite. It's easy to follow, understand, and take away something. That would never be the case with the light novels. More dialogues, more struggles, more meaningful conversation. All of them lead to thought-provoking ideas, harder choices, humane or inhumane thoughts and solutions. It's really hard to specify any of that without spoiling anything, so I'll leave the details to you once you can pick up any random moment of the book and compare it to what happened in the anime. One cannot say for sure if this change is positive or negative. However, this difference explains the unnatural plot points that exist within the main story that you saw on the screen. For example, the non-existent schemes of Ayanokoji to save his classmates get revealed randomly without any screen time, or side character mission like Ibuki's or Masumi's first interaction with Ayanokoji. They all have some roles in portraying all the characters and their involvement to the plot. Of course, you can't just put any conversation you deemed important into an already packed episode where stories are already completed. But that's the point. If the anime happens with all those details covered, a whole new area of discussion will be made, since events in Classroom of the Elite are supposed to be compressed with meaning and conflicts. That hasn't happened, and I believe the chance for any instance like that happening in the future of the series is low. After all, this is not a copy of the light novel. I know I'm just repeating myself about the difference between light novels and the anime at this point. However, one more important thing to note about these differences is the impact of them to the target audience of the series. The anime is definitely better suited for casual audience, while light novel is more focused towards a more devoted fanbase. The anime is made with entertainment and fast-paced action in mind, while the light novel is much more detailed and more time-consuming to read. In short, they serve different sets of audiences. Both mediums could be enjoyed as our first experience, but if we are talking about which one would be more enjoyable at first, I would say we go for the anime. The anime is more interesting and fast-paced, so it's easier to get into. After watching the anime, you can then read the light novel and get all the additional details and complexity in the story. It would be like getting an introduction to the series and then getting to know more about the story later. The light novel is definitely more detailed, and some dialogues are actually important to the overall story. That's why if you had read the light novels and then watched the anime without prior knowledge, it could be easier to feel disappointed and feel like the anime is lacking. The differences in the way characters express themselves in the anime and the light novel is one more thing to think about. The anime doesn't focus much on details, so there are a lot of things that need to be simplified and removed when adapting to the screen. This can make it a little harder to understand the characters' thoughts and emotion. In the light novels, the writer can describe in detail how the characters are feeling and thinking, and they can include their inner monologues. While including and exploring all the details inside a character's mind is good for the experience, those inner monologues of characters that are involved in the story don't have to be only about the story all the time. It's possible to use them in different ways, like characters' personalities and backgrounds. It can also be used to add more depth to the story. For example, if a character has a hidden agenda or keeps a secret from someone else, those monologues can provide more insights into the character's feelings and thoughts. So, inner monologues aren't just used to express things related to the story itself. That raises a question. In a very tight speed of the anime, if the monologues are too long and we can only keep half of them, which part should be prioritized? Drama-related thoughts or character-related thoughts? Well, in my opinion, both parts are equally important. Drama-related thoughts help push the story forward and make the plot more engaging. But at the same time, the character-related ones help flesh out the characters and make them more dimensional. The ideal situation is to help both of them together so that we can have a more well-rounded story. But if we really had to choose, I would say the character-related thoughts should be prioritized. Those monologues help build the characters and make the story more memorable. Sometimes, when the anime cuts certain part of the light novels, the characters can become a little too shallow and undeveloped. So, those inner monologues are crucial for us to truly understand and like the characters more. They make the characters become more memorable and likable in the series. Keeping the characters interesting is the key to keeping the audience attention and improving their overall experience with the series. The main emphasis in the world of Classroom of the Elite is the struggle for power. A lot of power resides within the student council and class representatives. The competitive nature of Advanced Nurturing High School is the main reason every single class has to build up their own quote-unquote student council, which is responsible for making decisions and representing the interests of its members. Class representatives are often involved in power struggle as they strive to gain the upper hand over their rivals. Class leaders play a particularly critical role in the class hierarchy. They are elected by their classmates and serve as the class representative to the school's student council. These people have a lot of power and influence, and they are often at the center of some of the biggest conflicts in the story. In addition to that, there are also several other students who hold a significant amount of power and influence within the school without any official titles. These individuals work as class connectors, social stabilizer, and sometimes carry hidden orders from class representatives. These individuals also have a lot of influence over their classmates and they are often responsible for driving the conflicts and power struggle that occurred throughout the story. Aside from all those significant players, there are many students who are not directly involved in the power struggles and conflicts between different classes and student councils. These students often serve as the silent majority who are simply trying to go about their business and get through school without being caught up in the chaos. These students are often referred to as passive students or spectators within the class hierarchy. They may not be directly involved in the power struggles, but they are still affected by them. The passive students may simply be trying to avoid the conflicts and power struggles altogether. These students may keep their heads down, try to fly under the radar, and simply try to get through school without drawing too much attention to themselves. Overall, the dynamic between significant students and passive students is an important aspect of Classroom of the Elite world building. It adds a sense of realism to the story, as not every student is necessarily involved in the chaos and drama of a selected film. It also provides a way to look at the dramas and conflicts on the POV of an outsider, which is 90% the case with every student in the school. I have seen a lot of negative criticism about how bad Classroom of the Elite anime is. I understand that, and that's why after reading the light novels to catch up with what happened in the series, I know it's unfair to put too much expectation on it. It seems the intention of the anime is clear. It's a perfect introduction for people to find more interesting details with the light novel reading experience afterward, or a decent stopping point for mainstream audiences with a taste for edgy atmosphere and a little challenge with the test of reaction/predictability. As for me, I think there's a lot more to be desired, knowing how good the light novel is. It's hard to describe what is lacking in every corner, and even harder to make a change about it. That also means if the future seasons can find a way to balance the extremely elaborated plot points, side stories and such, people could appreciate stories like this more without fighting about how good we can feel if the whole audience can watch and read at the same time. The script was reading at the end of season 3 of the anime. Thanks for watching.